When you're free somewhat of that abuse, that day in, day out, it still is happening in your brain. So I even went to the extreme of trying a neuroelectric machine thing.
And you went abroad to do that, didn't you?
Yeah, and so it's like a cap, and they measure your front lobes and all these different parts of your brain, and it's scientifically proven to help with like depression, anxiety, ADHD, trauma.
So, Melanie, you speak in your new book about how these new chapters focus on you've come out of your terrible marriage and you're rebuilding your life back in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And although you'd escaped that awful relationship, still you would suffer from trauma and there are lasting effects from that.
I think when you've been in an abusive relationship, whether it's for 1 day, 1 hour, couple of years, couple of months, 10 years like me, you are left with the ramifications of that. And even though you have hopefully left that situation, you then have to rebuild yourself up from the inside out, from the ground up, especially if you've been financially abused like I was too. Because people think, oh, well, you should feel fine now. Yeah. You've left that situation. But yeah, you've escaped that situation, but then you have to deal with the ramifications of, right, okay, I'm getting triggered, I'm going to decide what I need to wear, but I haven't been doing that for so long because he's taken control over everything, every aspect of my life. So you have to really start
What kind of things would trigger you?
Well, like for example, if a door closed, I'd jump out of my skin. I don't do that so much now, but it's a whole process that is going to be with you for life, and you just have to really start to love yourself, like yourself, because you're full of guilt and shame and worry and panic. So you have to, it's like going on another journey where you have to get yourself grounded, get yourself a bank account, just the simple things that has been taken away from you, get yourself financially up to a certain level where you're like, oh right, now I am earning my own money. It's just a real hard thing for other people to understand, but I understand it because I'm a survivor and there's many survivors out there. I think you have to just appreciate that it doesn't just stop when you leave. It can get way worse, the panic, the fear, the emotions.
And you take it out on the people closest to you.
You have to rebuild your life up. And when you've been abused, it's not just you, it's your family, your friends, your kids. So you have to really build those relationships up again and learn to trust and not be angry. And it's just a whole process, which I know I can talk about it because I'm going through it and I will still be going through it, but I think it's really important that you are aware of what a survivor has to go through.
Give me gorgeous, right here in front. Hey, both you guys down here to the right for me, both you guys right here.
And you had some, even though you were away from him, you were back with your mum in Leeds where you grew up, you had some real low moments you describe in the book, Rory, your fiance, finding you kind of in the fetal position in your meditation room. And
I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in your head because when you're free somewhat of that abuse, that day in, day out, it still is happening in your brain. So you have to really...
described it like a baby crying. There was a good
Yeah,
word.
it's like a baby crying and you can't quite figure out where the baby is in that room. So it's a constant kind of a journey, a battle. You have to just keep on going and just hope for some relief. But as well, what I found is you have to just be really kind to yourself. And I think the more that people understand, the work just doesn't stop there. Oh, you should feel better now you've left him. Well, no, because now I'm financially ruined. My brain is still completely traumatized. And fortunately, I was in the position where I could have different types of therapy, because I found just talking about it,
What
I would
kinds
then...
of therapy did you have?
Talking about it, I would relive it. So then I thought, well, maybe I should try being hypnotized, which I did, or EMDR, or tapping. So I tried a plethora of different things, and then I actually tried the neuroscience way. I even went as far as having transcranial magnetic stimulation, which sounds really scientific, which it was, scientifically proven to help with depression, anxiety, trauma, helps with ADHD. So I was like, I have to try that. And they put a cap on, they measure everything. It's like tapping on this side of the brain really slow, then really fast on this side. And it is really quite like, not traumatizing, because that's the wrong word. It's really intense. And I found that that really worked for me.
Do you have depression? I know you've been diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety. Is depression something you've suffered with?
I think I've suffered with so many different things because of being in that 10-year abusive relationship. I'm figuring stuff out all the time of what I feel like, and I don't really like to put a label on stuff. I'm actually going to find a word that is going to encompass what people feel when they come out of that kind of abusive situation, because it is an epidemic that we're dealing with, and it's not going anywhere unless we are going to address it from the inside out and educate people and the court system. So I think I've just got a bit of everything. And some days it's not so much, some days it is, so it's different.
And how did that transcranial magnetic stimulation work in terms of you did find it useful and it did help you and you had good results from it?
Yeah, I think everyone deals with it differently, but for me, what that did is it calmed down a bit of my fear and anxiety, which was trauma-based.
And in the book you say it was Rory who encouraged you to go and get some proper therapy and go away somewhere. Coming from, is it when someone, so close to you said you really need to get help? You knew?
Well, I think I knew I needed to get help, but I didn't know what kind of help, because I thought I was already being helped, but there was always something. So I think with being so close and so honest with Rory, he was like, come on, get more help. If you need it, you just go and get it.
And you've known Rory for quite a long time. He's a family friend, is it?
So I felt safe with Rory because he was a family friend. He's the best friend of my cousins. So it was already a foundation of trust, and I felt safe. And I knew that he wasn't going to be abusive to me because my family and my friends know him and they all approved of him.
And all the other Spice Girls approve of him, don't they? And they're pleased.
Yeah, all the other Spice Girls like him.
So you've been through a lot in your life, been in a pop group.
I'm still in a pop group.
We still are in a pop. What 3 things would you tell 18-year-old Melanie? What 3 pieces of advice would you give her?
I'd tell her everything's going to be okay. Look for the red flags, because they're pretty obvious when you look back. You can spot an abuser if you know those 15 red flags. And then I'd say, I don't know.
Eat your greens.
Never forget where you come from, which I don't.
And now
I'm
you're
still
back to where
living
you
back
came
in
from.
Leeds. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Melanie.